Welcome to the Toronto Holocaust Museum. We're happy to be hosting this important event for the Ministry of Education. My name is Dara Solomon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Toronto Holocaust Museum and the Ontario Jewish Archives, part of UJA Federation of Greater Toronto. Since the beginning of the fall, we have welcomed hundreds of students through our doors from across the GTA, and the response has been incredibly positive. Students are engaged, excited by the immersive learning environment, and walk away with a deeper understanding of Holocaust history through an exploration of artifacts, photographs, and survivor testimony. In our learning lab following the tour, students make connections to their own lives, finding commonalities in stories of immigration and settlement in Canada. Students also meaningfully reflect on the depth of the atrocities committed by the Nazis and the participation of such a wide range of individuals who enabled the Holocaust. I encourage you to visit the museum following this program. During the past month, since the atrocities committed by Hamas in Israel on October 7th, our entire team has been reflecting on the importance of our work and the meaning of bringing students into a Jewish community center and into the Holocaust Museum during a period of unprecedented uncertainty in Israel and an environment of frightening anti-Semitism globally and here in Toronto. Our work at the Toronto Holocaust Museum has resonance beyond anything we could have imagined, and we are tremendously proud of what we've created here, what our community has created here. At the same time, coming to work every day since that dreadful Thanksgiving weekend and walking through these galleries can be haunting. This, combined with our feeds endlessly filled with reports of hate-filled demonstrations, is challenging for all of us. Our community is scared. I'm gravely concerned that my son is becoming accustomed to an increased police presence outside his Jewish day school. I've had to answer questions like, "Mommy, am I safer at home or at school?" And my daughter is navigating her first year of public school amidst an environment of walkouts and solidarity protests. With all that said, where I do feel hope and optimism is actually over the past 2 days. Yesterday, our team and UJ's leadership met with the Toronto Police Department, who share our deep concern and spent time touring the museum and understanding our fears through the lens of Holocaust memory, while expressing in the most serious of terms that they are with us. And today, we are here for a very special announcement from Minister Lecce that demonstrates the province's commitment to Holocaust education and to ensuring students across Ontario learn about who Jews are, their settlement in Canada, and their contributions to Canadian society along a deep understanding of the Holocaust. I want to thank Minister Lecce for his commitment to the Jewish community. Having allies like you bring great comfort to all of us in the community. I'd now like to welcome the Honourable Michael Kerzner, Solicitor General and MPP for York Centre, to provide remarks. I'm actually introducing Minister Michael Ford. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dara. And on any given day, I would be happy to be the Solicitor General or Michael Kerzner any day. But thank you very much for having me, and I am grateful for the opportunity to join you in commemorating Holocaust Education Week. This is an opportunity to honor the survivors of the Holocaust and remember those murdered by the Nazis and the millions of European Jews. We remember the past so it never happens again. But it is incredibly painful that here in 2023, the Jewish people have had to endure yet another unspeakable act of violence. We condemn, in no uncertain terms, Hamas's heinous and horrific acts of violence and terrorism against the Jewish people and the people of Israel. And while no words will ever make up for the immense hurt and anguish being felt in the hearts of Jewish communities here, at home, and around the world, I want you to know that our government will always stand with you and stand by you. Your freedom and everyone's freedom to practice their faith, celebrate their customs, and live without fear are non-negotiable rights that our government will always defend. Anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred are not welcomed here in the province of Ontario. And the incidents of hate we have seen in recent weeks are reprehensible, and they go against the fundamental values of acceptance and inclusivity that define us as Ontarians. My ministry has invested $25 million in the Anti-Hate Security and Prevention Grant to help protect faith, cultural and Indigenous communities and their spaces, and to combat hatred in all its forms. We've extended the deadline and are working to release the funds faster to ensure communities impacted have additional support and assurance they need to feel safe given the current environment. I'd also like to recognize one of my great colleagues. I have many great colleagues behind me, but particularly MPP Laura Smith from Thornhill for her unwavering leadership in our caucus and in the community and here in the province of Ontario. I know Laura was a huge advocate for the Toronto Holocaust Museum and our government's investment in it, which is, I would say, ever so more important given the times that we are in. As we commemorate Holocaust Education Week, let us come together as Canadians, as proud Ontarians, and stand up against anti-Semitism and hate wherever it may exist. Together, we will continue to build a safer, inclusive, and more prosperous Ontario and make sure our beautiful province remains the best place in the world to live, work, and raise a family. And without further ado, I will now introduce the Solicitor General, Michael Kersner.
Good morning, bonjour tout le monde. C'est un honneur pour moi d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Ministers and members of the Ontario Legislature, City Councillor, rabbis, Senator, and dear guests. Here at this living museum, an important place for the Jewish community to gather and remember, especially today, we are reminded of the survivors of the Shoah, the Holocaust, that in their darkest hour, in their generation, in the years following the Shoah, they rebuilt their lives here in Ontario, and their voices, your voice, Nate, miraculously helped our community find our way. As long as our Jewish community here in our city, in our province, and in our country exists, we will tell their stories. And in the words of the late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, which are so meaningful today, the hate that begins with Jews never ends with Jews. And we make a great mistake if we think anti-Semitism is only about the Jews. It's not. It's about anti-Semites, people that cannot accept their responsibilities for their own failures and instead have to blame someone else. It is, I believe, about people that do not want to learn or cannot learn from history, so we will teach them. Anti-Semitism is not new. Hate is not new. It has been here a long time, and sometimes it's lurking around the corner, slightly out of sight, but always unacceptable. Hate of all kinds, as Professor Erwin Kotler correctly stated, is toxic to our democracy. And there is a gravity of the moment that we find ourselves in today. And to be clear, we will never allow ourselves to be terrorized by hate or by deniers. And for those who do not believe we have a right to live safely in our own homes and communities, to wake up our loved ones in the morning and take our kids to school, to go to work and to shop and to pray. For those who do not believe in our inherent rights, we will call them out. And today, thanks to the unwavering support of Premier Ford, of Minister Lecce, and all my cabinet and colleagues from the Ontario Legislature behind me, our government is decisively acting to combat the rise of anti-Semitism and hate in all its forms. It's essential that we ensure that our students are never bystanders in the face of hate and division. The legacy we leave the next generation of Ontarians is about never forgetting the past. And some things will always matter. The rule of law will always matter. Standing up for the truth when others don't want to hear it matters. And the best way we can show respect here in Ontario, a society that is diverse and different and made up of a kaleidoscope of communities on the quilt of Ontario, is by teaching and telling the truth. And so we will. Le soutien de notre gouvernement, de notre ministre Lecce, de notre ministre Ford, à votre égard est absolu et sans relâche. The commitment of our government, of our Premier, of Minister Ford, of Minister Lecce to our community is absolute and constant. It is my honor to call my friend, our Minister of Education, and a great supporter of our Jewish community, Minister Lecce, to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is a great honor to be with you today. I want to thank our amazing friends from the Toronto Holocaust Museum for hosting us. Behind me is the face of moral courage in government in this country. Individuals who have made it their life mission to stand up for values that I believe unite us as Canadians. My dear friends, Michael Kerzner, the Solicitor General of Ontario, who is the first kippah-wearing Jew in Ontario's cabinet, and Andrea Kanjan, the first woman progressive conservative elected within cabinet, and a Jewish woman herself. It's an honor to serve with Andrea, with Laura Smith from Thornhill, with Robin Martin, as well as Minister Stan Cho, and of course, Michael Ford, all of whom care deeply about the issue of fighting hate, the issue of ensuring, the moral imperative of ensuring never again is our legacy to future generations. Now, there are, beyond the sort of political guests today, we really are incredibly honored, very privileged, to be with two individuals who have represented light and darkness, whose mission on earth is to emancipate the values of human dignity, compassion, and love. Individuals who have educated perhaps tens of thousands of young people at home and abroad, and who have helped edify me about how individuals, even an Italian Catholic, could be an important ally in the fight against anti-Semitism. And I want to recognize Rose Lipschitz and Nate Bleitziger for your incredible moral courage and for your inspiration to all of us in government, in Canada, and in democratic nations to do what is right. Rose and Nate, thank you all. It is Holocaust Education Week, and I reflect just some months ago, I was joining many colleagues here at the Christie Pitts Ride, the 90th anniversary of this seminal moment in history, one of the largest race-based rides in our country. And it was an interesting story, and I draw some parallel of Italians and Jews fighting against this Nazi mob. The idea that, the non-Jewish community, perhaps more than ever, has a huge opportunity to step up. And we have decided, as parliamentarians, many of whom are not Jewish, that we will not be bystanders in the face of vile anti-Semitism that is being normalized on campuses, in schools, and in civil society. And we simply will not accept that part of the history of our country. And now, we know that the Jewish people, one of the smallest faith communities in the country, have have been recipients of one of the largest number of hate crimes. I mean, the B'nai B'rith report every year tells a shocking story of the moral degeneracy that is transpiring within our society. The heinous attack of Jews and as I say, that the degeneracy of denying what happened in the past and even what is happening today is shocking to any Canadian, any small d Democrat that believes in democratic principles of pluralism, of freedom, of human rights, and the rule of law. All of us should be appalled by the behavior. And so we can sit at the sidelines, we can turn to Twitter, we could issue hashtags, or we can do something meaningful about it. And that's why we're here today. Because 1 year ago, joining these two amazing individuals and many other wonderful partners in the Jewish community, we made history, being the first province in Canada to mandate Holocaust education within elementary schools that took effect this September. And that was perhaps one of the greatest advancements of civic education we could have codified in Ontario schools. And my goodness, what important timing that it is in place this September. And I'm proud that over the summer, we took initiative. In my capacity as the chair of the Canadian Ministers of Education Council, I used that platform to advance anti-Semitism education, particularly Holocaust education. And I want to give credit where it's due. Just yesterday, the government of British Columbia made a decision to codify Holocaust education, in their case in high schools. And that is a very powerful demonstration of the unity of spirit we have as Canadians across all political lines to uphold the values of Canada. And I want to thank the government of BC for doing it, and I want you to know I am working overtime to contact all other provincial and territorial ministers of education to urge them to do the right thing to advance civic and Holocaust education in their provinces as well. When Liberation 75 and Western University conducted a poll of North American students, and 1 in 3 children, 1 in 3 Canadian youth believed the Holocaust was either fabricated or entirely exaggerated, that is a shocking reality. And that's why we're here today. To build upon the work we have done, the leadership we have shown in the Federation to uphold critical knowledge and education that help us to proliferate the values that I still want to believe unite us as Canadians, for freedom, for democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, the values that, as I've spoken often before, that my immigrant parents chose when they came to this country in the pursuit of something better, for civility and respect to be the norms. But we still see denialism on the rise. On social media, it is shocking and dark. And so today, joining with these amazing people, with the survivors who have led the way and inspired the way, and with so many friends in the Jewish community, so many good people who care so deeply about the advancement of civilization and the preservation of democratic values, that today our government, on behalf of our Premier, is excited that we're going to be going even further. We currently have grade 10 history education, Canadian history, where we have a component dealing with Holocaust education. Many believe it is insufficient. It does not speak about or educate on the rise of extreme ideologies, particularly when it comes to the rise of fascism within civil society. It doesn't sufficiently speak about denialism and how that is a direct attack on Canadian values. And so we choose not to be bystanders. We choose to be active participants in the fight against anti-Semitism, this historic scourge that has besieged the Jewish people for millennia. And so today, on behalf of our government, we are proud to be announcing a significant strengthening of the mandatory high school Holocaust education in the province, effective in year 2025, in addition to a significant investment in teacher-led training by the Jewish community. So we build allies in every classroom to see the hate, to denounce the hate, and have the knowledge, the confidence in how to combat it in all of its forms. This is our collective legacy to ensure never again. And I'm so honored to be doing it today with my colleagues, with my friends, with our survivors who've done the work. And so, as Minister Kersner and Ford and all my colleagues have said, we know all forms of hate have no place in our society. But we know that what starts with the Jewish people, the hate afflicting the Jewish people, never ends with the Jewish people. And I've often said this, when the Jewish community, the survivors, and the students came to me many years ago, they didn't come as an advocate for Holocaust education specifically for the Jews. They actually came here in defense of broad values for all that have faced persecution and oppression. They came here with a mission and a vision that we could raise our kids in a society where we respect each other, right? Where we see no difference, where we have inherent dignity in every single child. And that is something we cannot lose sight of. It's something I implore us to never lose that mission, that fire within our belly to advance that cause. It is truly a cause of good over evil, and I'm so proud and honored to work with this amazing team to do what's right, even if it may seem difficult. And so, on behalf of our government, I just wanted to say thank you, all of you. There's so many of you, I cannot name you, but in this room, really, is the critical ecosystem of leaders within the community, within our ministry, that are committed to fighting hate. And so I would just want to express a sincere message of gratitude to all of you for your partnership, and most specifically to Nate and Rose. Thank you for being the light in the darkness. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to say something. This is an unscheduled comment. Remember 1943, 80 years ago. I stood in Auschwitz, Birkenau. I was watching the flames shooting out of the chimney, devouring the bodies of our people who were gassed to death just moments ago. I remember when I stood there and my tears were running from me, and I was utterly alone. I was abandoned by the world, and I felt there was no future for us. Today, I stand here before you. My heart rises in your gratitude to the people who are assembled here, to Canada, who stood up with us, and we are no longer alone. We have stopped running. We have now friends, we have now support from the province, the most populous province in this world, in this country, and we are so proud of what these individuals are doing. And my heart goes out to them, and thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, with that, this event is officially concluded. You are encouraged to actually have a private tour of the Holocaust Museum. It is open to us. If you have not seen it, enjoy the experience and enjoy the morning. Thank you so much.